Okay, so in today's video, I actually have a different unboxing. This is my first ever Franklin Christoph pen. Now, if you watched my video from D Squared Arts recently, I did pick up my first 14 karat SIG grind from Franklin Christoph done by Audrey Madison. But I saw on Instagram the other day that they had some of their return, return for some reason or another, kind of scratch and dent type pins, and there was one that I really liked the look of. So for a discount, I thought it was worth taking a chance. So I picked up this Model 31. Well, just to start, it comes in a nice little box. It has the Franklin Christoph logo there, and then kind of a little Celtic logo that I think is either a secondary logo of theirs or something like that. So that's pretty nice. Put that over here. There's two cartridges. Now, most of these take UV 6 nibs, so you could use a standard international cartridge or a converter, and I believe this should be coming with a converter. We've got 3 cards here. One that's just talking about Franklin Christoph as a whole with the company contact information. And then these 2 are related to the nib. So I did get another of the SIG nibs in this. This one's a stainless steel, not a 14 karat. You can see Audrey has the note here that she did the grind, has her signature and what the nib is, and there's a guarantee and whatnot. So if you get those, definitely keep these cards handy, just in a drawer or something in case you were to need them. I doubt you probably will, but better safe than sorry. And then the pin comes in this little zippered pouch, and it's a really nice zippered pouch actually. Great color. I like grays and blacks. So here's the pin. This is a Model 31, and the exact name on this I think was turquoise or tur-ice or something like that, because it has a turquoise and white, let me get that over here on the side, turquoise and white finial, and then a body that is not fully clear. It's kind of frosted on the inside with some clear parts on the ends and whatnot, so it's a neat mixture. Now, since this one is a return, it looks like, and this does not bother me because that can probably be polished out. A little bit of staining on the inside slip cap. A little bit of a thing, but I'm getting a discount and it's not going to affect the function of the pen. So, that's kind of one of those buyer bewares. You kind of know if you're getting a returned item, it was returned for some reason. I don't know the history of it, but since I have a couple of local makers, I'll probably see if we could possibly buff that out or something like that. But let's get to the important part, is the pen. So you can see on the nib here, it's got the Franklin Christoph logo. And this is the extra fine SIG grind and just regular stainless steel. And as you can see, these do come with standard cartridge converter. So I haven't decided exactly what ink yet, so I'm going to go over to the ink shelf and see. I'm thinking though something that like a light blue, possibly like a Roshizuku Ama-Iro, so it kind of ties in with the teal in there. So let me decide on an ink, and then I'll fill it up and do a quick writing sample. So I'll be right back. Okay, so when I went to the ink shelf, there were 2 inks that jumped out. Ama-Iro, which I was originally thinking of, and then also the Diamine Steel Blue. And let me show these over here side by side on this camera. And when I hold this cap, it's kind of a tie. They both have some tie-ins. I'm thinking the Steel Blue might be a little bit more of a true color match. Not that that's necessary, but it's one of those things, and the camera is not showing it fully, but when you hold the cap up, both of them kind of look a little bit more like the color you're holding it up next to, that weird kind of optical effect. But I think in this case, I am going to go with the Steel Blue. I think it's a little bit more greenish than it is blue in there. And I did double check the name while I was grabbing ink, and this is the Model 31 Turqish, Turqish, Ice. So that's the proper name of this pen. So let's get the Ama-Iro put aside here. And we'll swatch, we'll fill it up with the Steel Blue. And then I'll do a quick writing sample of this SIG nib and just that ink. So let's get this filled up. And these Diamine bottles, I did have to put the section down in there pretty far, so definitely, if you're using a small bottle, be sure you wipe up far enough so you don't get ink on your hands. Or, you're going to get ink on your hands at some point, but, face the inevitable. Okay, let's get this closed up. And I was talking about not getting ink on my hands, and there's turquoise on my finger, so it's what's gonna happen. So for paper today, this is actually a loose leaf sheet of the yu-sari paper. I'm in A5. Bought that a while back when I bought the notebook, just to have some loose leaf paper to try. So let's see. So you can see on the SIG grind, there's a great write-up, and I'll put a link to it in the video description from Franklin Cristoph, how they describe what the SIG is. It stands for Stub Italic Gradient. Now, since I write in print, it's not going to get the same effect, but I found that with these SIG nibs, even when I'm doing my normal small writing, I get a little bit of line variation that I don't normally get in a extra fine nib, and I really like that. And I'll show that here in a second on the side camera. It doesn't jump out at you massively, but you can see a little bit of the variation in the line, and I like that. It looks great, and when I've been using these in the journal and whatnot, you can definitely tell the difference between the SIG nibs and the other extra fine nibs. So overall, I know I'm going to be very pleased with this nib. This is now my 4th SIG nib in a very short amount of time. And then, Franklin Cristoph, when I first got into pens in 2013, 2014-ish, it was one of those brands that I probably should have gotten one then, and I just never did. I know at the time that was really popular, that they would do like one-of materials and demos, and that was always the rush at the beginning of a pen show. So I was kind of holding out at the time for maybe I'd pick one up at a pen show, but now I can say I own one. It's a cool thing, and I saved a little bit because it was a returned item. So, always make sure you look at the different stationery stores' websites or makers' websites. Sometimes they have returned or scratch and dent where it's still perfectly functional, but it might save you a little bit if you don't mind a minor imperfection here or there. And for me, I want the writing experience is the important part to look. I know I'm going to get it dinged up and covered in ink and whatnot over time anyway, so that really didn't bother me. So, it's going to wrap up this quick first look at my first Franklin Cristoph Model 31 in the Turqish ice with the diamine steel blue ink. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing so you can see new videos like this as they're released, and thanks for watching.